All right, Jay, let's stick with the NFL. Tonight, we have Monday Night Football. You have the Philadelphia Eagles 1-1 headed to Jerry World to take on the Dallas Cowboys, also 1-1, in yet another matchup between two division rivals, Jay. So it should be a really interesting game. Either way, I mean, you've got the Dak versus Jalen Hurts angle. You've got the Philly D-line versus the Cowboys O-line. Are they still as good as they were before? And then you have the running back situation in Dallas, where you have a running back, Tony Pollard, who easily outperformed and outshined Ezekiel Elliott in their 20-17 win against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. And it's got a lot of people asking questions about this, about whether or not Tony Pollard is actually a better running back than Dallas's 6-year, $90 million running back, Zeke Elliott. So I ask you this. Do you believe it's time to give Tony Pollard more snaps than Ezekiel Elliott?
So I'm going to say no. I don't think that they should give him more snaps, but I think that they need to give Tony Pollard more snaps in general. So, and we talked about this in pre-production just for you guys to understand why this topic is coming up. Pro Football Focus on their daily pod had made mention about this, and then it started to circulate where a lot of people are asking the same question, because this year everyone is noticing that Tony Pollard, when he's on the field compared to when Zeke's on the field, the Cowboys kind of do better. For example, this year's numbers. Zeke, 27 carries, 104 yards, 1 touchdown, 3.9 yards per carry. Tony Pollard, 16 carries, 123 yards, and a touchdown, 7.7 yards a carry. He is just under double the yards per carries than Zeke. Grade-wise, Tony Pollard is graded by Pro Football Focus, a PFF, at a 90, which is number 1, with 47 snaps this season. Zeke, 59.6. That's 41st in the NFL at 114 snaps. So he got almost 3 times as many snaps as Tony Pollard does, Zeke does. Mm-hmm. So, and I even looked at DVOA. Offensively, Tony Pollard is number 1 overall, number 2 on offense, and he's top 5 in every category, where Zeke is around midway 16, 17 in running backs in the NFL. The point behind this is it might be time to give Tony Pollard more snaps and more time on the field comparison to what you're giving to Zeke. I don't fully feel like you should replace Zeke with Tony Pollard, but I think you should mix it in. The only problem I'm running into, and the thought process behind this is if you give Pollard more, does it start to eat away from him being as productive as he is when he's in there with those quick spurts? Because certain players, like, for example, when the Cowboys used to have Marion the Barbarian and Felix Jones together, Felix would always produce more, but he also played, it felt like, less snaps than what you got from Marion Barber, mainly because Marion was the bruiser. He'd take all the hits, he'd do the cuts and all of that, and then when you bring that change of pace in with Felix, seems to do a lot more. So I don't think that Tony Pollard should start over Zeke, but I do think that he needs to eat into those snaps. Let Zeke, because Zeke is a one-cut, gone running back. You know what I'm saying? He makes that one cut and he goes. And Tony's way more versatile. Even though Zeke is a good pass catcher, Tony's a better pass catcher, and he also has a little bit more shiftiness to him. So, no, he should not start over Zeke, but yes, the Cowboys need to play him more.
I don't think the Dallas Cowboys can play him more.
Really?
I really don't. I don't think that they can, because here are the repercussions of that. You know, for every action, there's going to be a reaction. Let's say you give him, now Zeke, because he's been on this team and in this system so long, he would know if Tony Pollard is getting, if it was even 2 more snaps or 3 more snaps than he normally gets, or if there are certain situations where he is put in there over Zeke, where Zeke would usually be in those type of situations, he's going to notice. So then if you do that to Zeke, what's going to happen? That's going to start to slowly chip away at his confidence, which is already being chipped away because he knows that he's not the running back that he was 2 years ago. So if that starts to happen, then that's going to affect his productivity. And then if that affects his productivity, that makes the media's attention on this even worse on him, even louder, and that's going to affect his performance even more because, and this is what the media is waiting for. They're waiting for Tony Pollard to have another game where he's just way better than Ezekiel Elliott like he did in the last game. So if they see this happen again, primetime game, Monday Night Football, you can't hide anything. So if that happens, then this could start to slowly erode the confidence of Ezekiel Elliott. So then if that starts to happen throughout the season, then what's he going to become? He's going to become disgruntled. So then if he becomes disgruntled, what is that? Then you have an offseason controversy because now it's whether or not Zeke is going to stay on this team or potentially be traded. So then who is that affecting? Dak Prescott. Why? That's his best friend. So all this ties together.
All ties together. All ties together.
So you cannot, should you? Yes. Is Tony Pollard better than Zeke? Possibly.
It's more productive.
Is he better behind this offensive line that's not what it used to be? Probably, because he just has more of a lightning burst through the line than Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott used to have that. He doesn't have that anymore. But because of how this could ripple throughout this season and the offseason, I don't think you can. I don't think you can give Tony Pollard much more than what you gave him in that last game, which to me was plenty.
I don't know if you should appease Zeke when he's not producing the numbers he should based upon that check. Now, the other thing to keep in mind, and this is something that the guys at Pro Football Focus made a good point on, is that teams stack the box when Zeke's in the field. They know Zeke. They stack the box based upon him being a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
That's the respect that he's given by defenses. Rightfully so, because once he gets going, he gets going. Tony's not giving that same respect. That's a good thing for Dallas. It makes it to where they can get more. They can force teams to try to bring their safeties up to stop Tony, and then Dak can go over their head or go run play action. You can't really the play action doesn't seem like it's as effective with Zeke on the field right now because they're stopping Zeke from running. Zeke's not really getting the yards that you want out of him. So I don't think you should appease to Zeke in this situation. Why appease to him just because you want to make sure that his ego isn't fractured? You can trade Zeke. Teams will take him. Teams are looking for a number one running back like him that they could really use, especially as young as he is and productive as he is, and you can tell he's in super good shape. Teams will take him.
I don't think you need this. I think that it's primarily because this is the Dallas Cowboys, and no one gets the amount of attention or the amount of scrutiny for every little single thing that they do or every little single thing that happens to this team. So I think that on most other teams, you could get away with this, and it would be no big deal whatsoever. Because if Zeke Elliott was a Cincinnati Bengal, and then you had Tony Pollard behind him, and this same thing came up, it would not be as big of a deal because he's a Bengal. No one really cares that much, so not as much attention will be on this as opposed to whoever the running backs are in Dallas. So I do think, again, if you're now you picked them to go how far?
Cowboys?
Yes.
I got them going to the NFC Championship.
You got them going to the NFC Championship, right? So many things have to go right. So many things have to be in a row. There's so many egos and individual confidences that cannot be shattered if you're going to work your way through the regular season to put yourself in a position to get that far in the postseason. This could be one of those things because we've seen this before, how Ezekiel Elliott has been a lightning rod. And what's funny about him, he doesn't really even have to say much.
No, he doesn't.
He's not verbal. But so that shows you just how much attention he can get. And therefore, that can show you just how easily something like this can disrupt the locker room. It can fracture the locker room because then you would have a Tony Pollard camp and you would have a Zeke Elliott camp. Dallas doesn't need that.
I wonder if they already got that going, though.
Maybe.
I mean, if you think about if Tony's being as productive as he is and he's grading so high on the analytics by being as productive, I mean, why isn't there a controversy? It makes sense. Zeke was not very good last year, which rightfully so. He was literally the only good player at the line of scrimmage that could do anything because the wide receivers rely on a quarterback that couldn't throw the ball very well. So you hand the ball to Zeke, he had to do everything. So, of course, they were stacking the box because they knew that Dalton wasn't going to really harm them. But Tony is really producing a lot better than Zeke. So, I don't know. I think Cowboys fans, I'm curious to what you guys think about this. Let us know who do you think should get more snaps. I still think Zeke should get more snaps. I just think that Tony should eat into that 144.
Okay, do this for me. How many? All right, do you have the game pulled up from last time?
The last
against
game,
the Chargers?
I can pull it up.
Because I think that, let's see, one of them had 16 carries. I think it was Tony Pollard. And I don't know how much Zeke had, but I'm curious as to what you think the carries are going to be tonight against Philadelphia. Like, who's going to get more? How many would you predict for each player?
So last game, Pollard had 13 carries for 109. And
Zeke
Zeke
was it 16 for 71?
I think he had 6. I'm looking right now. Rushing 16-71. Yes, and a touchdown. So they both had a touchdown. 1, 2, 3 more carries for Zeke. Way more yards for Tony.
Right.
And they both had. Well, it looks like Tony had 3 catches, while Zeke had 2 catches.
Okay, so over under on Tony Pollard. We'll say 12.5 carries. What would you take?
Oh, I'll take the over.
Take the over?
Oh, I'd easily take the over in that.
Yeah.
You've got to give that man more than 12 carries.
Okay, so if he gets more carries or about as many carries as Zeke and he's more productive than him, do you see that leading to some type of controversy after this?
Oh, yes. Has to be. I mean, I get that you're paying Zeke all this money, but at the same time, if one's being more productive, you probably should be riding that thing.
But see, this only matters if they win, right? Because if they lose, then it doesn't matter who got what amount of carries. You lost the game. But if they win the game and then it looks like it's more because of Tony Pollard than Ezekiel Elliott, then that's a bigger controversy.
Depends on how you lose.
Yeah.
I think that's more important, is to determine how did you lose that game. If you lost the game because of just if it was a turnover or a fluke, then it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. Actually, it would be more of a bigger deal if it was a fluke or something than in just getting your butts kicked. You better not lose to the Eagles. I know that much. I'd say that. So, okay. We'll see. Cowboys fans, let us know what you think. I would love to get your feedback on who should be starting or getting more snaps. Should it be Zeke? Should it be Tony Pollard?